I can see how both this and Civil War might surprise or turn some people off because both are low-key films. They're not these $200 million action films, blockbusters. They're much more, I think, driven by atmosphere, by story, rather than big explosive sequences. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Film Buds podcast. This is episode number 595, and my name is Henry. Just me. Elle should be back next week. Thanks for showing up. First of all, please rate, review, subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. This time around, I'm going to be doing a double feature review covering Alex Garland's Warfare as well as Civil War. And then I'm going to be counting down my top 10 modern war movies. So not movies that were made recently, but war films that are taking place in the modern day. So should be a great time. If you don't already follow us on social media, you can do so at Film Buds, and we are also on YouTube if you're not already there, and on Letterboxd. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into Warfare. And do have a clip, so take a listen.
Bushmaster is approved to maneuver to her position.
Mikey, Brian, give me an update on the roof.
Taking effective enemy fire! Multiple frag on the rooftops!
All right, so Warfare came out in 2025. It's co-directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. Stars DeFaro Wuno-Tai, Will Poulter, Cosmo Jarvis, Joseph Quinn, Alex Brockdorf, and the synopsis is a platoon of Navy SEALs embark on a dangerous mission in Ramadi, Iraq, retold through their memories of the event. So this one came out kind of suddenly. I was thinking, okay, cool. You piqued my curiosity. It's also A24. It's co-directed by a Navy SEAL who was also in this actual event in Iraq. And in case you haven't listened to our most recent episode, it was on my top 10 list of 2025. I don't think it's perfect, but it's definitely one of the better war films I've seen in quite some time. One of the things that really kept me interested and really impressed me was the sound design. It's incredibly complex and meticulous and rich with how bullets fly through the house, the voices of who all is adjacent to one another, you know, the geography of the place, the vehicles, it all feels as immersive as possible. And I think that sometimes is lacking in modern war films and action films, and this one pulls no punches whatsoever. The opening setup is really interesting, I think, and refreshing because these guys are moving down a street. They find a house to kind of bunker down in, and they're just waiting for things to happen. So there's a lot of quiet. You're in the minds of these guys, you know, up close and personal until, spoilers, they are able to be rescued. Having been in the military myself, while I haven't been in a combat zone like this or not a Navy SEAL or anything close to, based on what I know, based on my experiences, how they speak to each other, how they move, does come across as, yeah, these guys know what they're doing. And obviously, Ray Mendoza not only knows this event, but he knows how these actors should be progressing through a scene, how they should be moving tactically, etc. By far, one of the most effective scenes, despite how disturbing it is when this explosion goes off. And in particular, Joseph Quinn, who has kind of popped up into major success. He was in Fantastic Four, Gladiator 2. He seems like he's going on to be a really big star. His screams really rattle you, and I feel like I can still hear those screams, even being far removed from the viewing of this movie. There's also the character, and considering I'm guessing this is how he really was in the event, there's the Navy SEAL who kind of crumbles under the pressure from the firefight, and people are asking him to help, and he's frozen still. The sequence at the end when they're trying to get out into the armored vehicles. Another great sound design. You can hear the bullets rattling inside and outside the vehicle. And they're even saying, hey, we need to close these doors because the bullets are going to come inside and rattle all around and hit us and ricochet. And so there's that suspense of, oh God, please get these doors closed. So you feel that urgency that they're feeling. I really like, and he was even listed in the top group for some reason, but Charles Melton, who was also in May December, another great up-and-coming actor who I can't wait to see in more movies. There's also Cosmo Jarvis, who was most recently in Shogun, an amazing TV series. It's also shot very well. Like you can feel the dust in the room, on the streets. The overhead shots from the air support, the POV, that was very effective in their communications with one another, trying to figure out, okay, where are the SEALs? Where are the enemies? Okay, let's lay down fire here. Heavy 4.5 out of 5. All right, well, let's move on to the companion piece, if you will, which is Civil War, and do have a clip as well, so take a listen.
Who's giving you orders?
No one's giving us orders, man. Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
You don't know what side they're fighting for.
Oh, I get it. You're retarded. You don't understand a word I say.
All right, so Civil War came out in 2024, directed solely by Alex Garland, stars Kirsten Dunst, Wagner Moura, Kaylee Spaney, Nick Offerman, Jefferson White, Jesse Plemons, Nelson Lee, and the synopsis is, in a dystopian future, 4 journalists travel across the United States during a nationwide conflict. While trying to survive, they aim to reach the White House to interview the president before he is overthrown. I remember the anticipation of this one being announced and released. It became one of A24's biggest hits, unsurprisingly, but the immediate advertising for this was, what if there was a modern-day civil war in the States? And the synopsis says, in a dystopian future, but really, it feels like this could happen tomorrow in the scariest way. And I was pretty late to seeing it. I think I saw it right around the time that Warfare came out, like right before. Had heard fairly good things, and I've always liked Alex Garland. I like the scripts he's written, like recently, 28 Years Later. He did Ex Machina, Men, and I think it's just about on par with Warfare. I think a little below, but still a very solid movie. I don't think it's a best of the year for me, but it is one that also sticks with you. I think some people, and I don't totally blame them for this, but the marketing of the movie, the trailers, really make this out to be a much bigger, much more action-packed movie. I really like the perspective of the press because they are the middle ground. It's not like they're taking, okay, we're going to show the people in Texas fighting the people in New York. It's the people who are just trying to take photos and report on this event, and they're having to travel through various states, all of whom have different alignments, and some who threaten them, others who don't care, others who want to help them. Kaylee Spaney is this very young journalist, also a great new up-and-coming actor. She teams up with Kirsten Dunst, who's very experienced. Similar to Warfare, it also has a very strong sound design, and I like how even in quiet moments when the journalists are talking to each other in a parking lot or on the side of a road, you can hear gunfire and explosions taking place in a nearby city or town. There's demolished military equipment and vehicles like helicopters that have crashed or tanks. The firefight sequences are not only well shot and well directed, but I like how he occasionally does freeze frames of photographs that Kaylee Spaney and the other photographers are taking. So you get these little snapshots. Probably one of the scariest moments is when they encounter Jesse Plemons and his group of, I guess you could call them paramilitary guys or fanatics. And at first they seem calm, but then they start killing people and they barely make it out alive. when they finally get to DC and there's this massive raid or siege taking place to try and get the president, and they're attempting to sneak in there before soldiers get in there to kill him. And the final moment of this is very unsettling, but unfortunately I could see this happening when a lot of the discussions that are happening between the journalists are, it's all about the story. Like, we'll do whatever possible to get this story told, or X, Y, and Z story told. And you see Kirsten Dunst get injured, or like critically injured. And then instead of helping her, Kaylee Spaney just takes a photo of her and moves on. One criticism that I've read by some, and it goes back to what I was saying about this movie taking the middle ground, is that people are saying it has no commentary. It's shallow. And I totally disagree with that. I think that the commentary is presenting the world itself. Like, it doesn't have to have a huge prologue of, okay, this is how this came to be, or this is what happened after. You can do what you want with it. You can read as much into it as you want, or you can not read anything into it, and you can just simply take it as a modern day thriller. And I think that's how a lot of Alex Garland movies are, is they're very sophisticated, but they're not just punching you in the face with commentary. Heavy 4 out of 5. All right, well, let's move on to the final part of the show, which is counting down my top 10 modern war movies. So again, not a World War II movie that was made last year. This is dealing with modern conflict, Iraq and Afghanistan, or fictional events, also including things like Civil War, modern day Civil War. And feel free to let me know your favorites, your least favorites, what you think of my list in the comments. I tried to find a good mix, and some, I guess you could argue, aren't pure war films, but I think they at least fit the category. Number 10 for me is American Sniper, which I don't think is an amazing movie. I know some people are just obsessed with it and think it's by far one of the best. It's not there for me. I remember when it came out, and it was a massive financial and critical success for the most part. Bradley Cooper is undoubtedly amazing. I do think it's a little oversimplified in terms of the story and the character, but it's still a worthwhile story to tell, and I would recommend reading the book that it was based off of. Number 9 is Top Gun Maverick, the long-awaited Top Gun sequel. I only got around to seeing this one about 4 or 5 months ago. I love Tom Cruise and I love the original. I just never got around to watching it. This is dealing with a fictional conflict, but the stunt work by Cruise is some of the best ever, doing whatever possible to entertain the audience. It's directed by Joseph Krasinski, who also just did F1, a great director. I can't wait to see what he does in the coming years. Number 8 is Lone Survivor. I also read the book prior to this one coming out. Very good book. And if you haven't seen it, it is about this group of Navy SEALs in Afghanistan, a true story, who, as the title suggests, all but one survive. It's definitely one of Mark Wahlberg's best in quite some time, one of Peter Berg's better directed movies. I wish he would get back to making films like this. He had a pretty good run with Wahlberg in the 2010s. Number 7 is Civil War, which we just talked about. Great movie. Number 6 is Warfare, another great film. Just talked about it. And then number 5 is Beasts of No Nation, which was the very first Netflix original movie, directed by Cary Fukunaga, who also did, well, he just directed some episodes of Masters of the Air. He directed the first season of True Detective, No Time to Die, the James Bond movie. Very depressing. It's about child soldiers in Africa, and it's this innocent kid who gets wrapped up into a conflict and is having to engage in battle and kill people, which is still sadly a very ongoing problem. Number 4, which this is one that you could argue, is it truly a war film? I don't know. But whenever I think of war movies, I think of this one, and it does have some military operations in it. And that is Zero Dark 30 by Catherine Bigelow. It recounts the story of capturing Osama bin Laden and ends with the raid on his compound, which is still, I think, one of the best military cinema sequences ever put on screen, and really makes me think of warfare a lot. It's mainly the political and CIA mission, so it's more drama than action or warfare, but I think it fits the bill. Number 3 is Black Hawk Down. This is very much a war movie. I mean, almost the entire thing is action. The first act is them getting into Mogadishu, and then pretty much until the final 5 or 10 minutes, it is all out action of these guys battling from street to street and just trying to survive once their helicopters are shot down. Also a true story. It's one of Ridley Scott's best, a very huge ensemble cast. A lot of people got not necessarily their start here, but one of their first prominent roles here. Number 2, not a full-on war. I guess you could say it's not Iraq or Afghanistan, but I think it counts, and that is Sicario, dealing with the drug war. Still one of my favorite Denis Villeneuve films. I remember seeing it, not knowing about Denis, being completely blown away. It's so suspenseful, edge of your seat, nail-biting thriller. Emily Blunt and Del Toro and Brolin are all incredible. The score by the late Johan Johansson, cinematography by Roger Deakins. I mean, it just all works. It's a masterpiece, I think. And then number 1 for me is The Hurt Locker, another Catherine Bigelow movie written by Mark Boal, who also did Zero Dark 30. This was one of the first modern war movies that I saw. It was still in the time of Iraq and Afghanistan being in full-blown force, and they were just starting to make movies based around those conflicts. One of Jeremy Renner's and Anthony Mackie's best performances. The wartime sequences all feel very unique. The suicide bomber one, I'll never forget. The car bomb, the sniper sequence, as random as that was, still great. And it's also one of the only war films, if not the only one, that deals specifically with addiction to war and that adrenaline rush of, I have to be in the most dangerous situation in order to feel alive, to have a purpose. And, when he's home, he's bored. He just wants to be back. All right, well, that is about it. Again, let me know your favorites, your least favorites, what you think of my list. Please rate, review, subscribe, like, follow, all the good things, and thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it even half as much as I did, and I'll see you next time.